Okay, let's see if this is working right. Because you never know. I'm not like a full-time streamer, so I don't have this on lock by any means. I always mess up something, I'm sure. So I'm just going to look to see if I show up live. Okay, everything's looking good. Hey, what's going on, everybody? How's everybody doing? Don't know how many people are here right now. It's supposed to tell me, but it's saying that 0 people are watching. I don't believe that. So anyways, this is kind of a rarity for my channel, so I'll just keep explaining it over and over again. The way that live streaming works on my channel is we're going to be boundary breaking live while I'm doing this to add to the entertainment value, because I'm not really great at just holding a conversation by myself. I accept questions from the chat, so if you have any questions, whether it be about anything, like me as a YouTuber, what games I'm going to cover, though those questions don't get answered as much because those get spammed a lot. And anything in between, you can totally ask it up, and I'm going to try to find you in the chat and answer the question. Of course, sometimes the chat will move fast. It looks like it's a low turnout right now, so you might be good. But if it does start to get too fast and you're noticing that I'm missing your question, you can always use Super Chat to bump your question up to the top of the page, and I'll definitely see it that way. Anyways, with that all out of the way, let's get started on Crash Bandicoot and Sane Trilogy. Since this game is super massive, because it's 3 games in one, I didn't manage to cover everything that this game has to offer, and I still plan to cover the other games as full episodes as well, but since there's so much to still see, and a lot of people really enjoyed the episode, I figured we could get started on boundary breaking some Crashy stuff. So this is the opening of Crash Bandicoot 2, and I mentioned in the episode that there's a lot of stuff outside the boundaries, but of course with a lot of editing you can't really see it as well as you would hope. Let me make sure I pull up the chat so I can see what you guys are doing. I'd love to do the Back to the Future game. That'd be really cool. Oh, someone just said that they want to see this the Spyro Trilogy, the remake, on the channel, and that's very likely to happen. Apparently, hold on, let me fix something, because like I mentioned in the episode, Crash, depending on what his position is, depends on how much fog there is outside of the boundaries. So if we move Crash outside of the boundaries, we're going to see a lot less green fog. So really quick. You're going to notice the lighting change very soon. Boom. Okay, cool. So then when we zoom out, see all the stuff that was in the opening cutscenes of Crash Bandicoot 2. So here's Dr. Cortex's lab. Happens after he discovers the crystals. And if we go over here, you can see the cave that he fell into when falling out of the final battle of Crash Bandicoot 1. Now, it's a little finicky, so I can't spin it around too much, but you can see the cave here with different lighting and everything, which is really cool. I'm looking at the chat right now to see if there's any questions. Yeah, you know what's funny is that these glasses existed before Gurren Lagann and before I already forget what it is because I never watched this thing that people were telling me that they also use these glasses for. Totally forget. Anyways, I like these glasses because of games like Super Mario Bros. 3 with Roy Koopa, the Squirrel Squad Squirtle, you know. That's the inspiration behind the glasses and the avatar. But yeah, I guess like this version of glasses are more synonymous now with Gurren Lagann and again this like online. Oh, hold on, we got a donation here from Evil Walrus. What's going on, dude? Definitely one of the bigger fans. He always stands out a lot. He says, "What size pants do you wear?" Super important question asking for a friend. I guess I can answer that. I think I'm like a size 34 now. I don't buy clothes very often, so it's very easy for me to forget what size clothes I wear. But for pants, I think it's 34 or 36 waist. Anyways, ooh, I didn't catch this in the episode. This is kind of cool. I mean, like, I probably would have included it in the next episode, but Oh, never mind. Nope, it's Dr. Cortex's lab with the a lighting block here, which is kind of cool. Someone asked me to do a boundary break of my room. I'm definitely going to do that at some point, but I'm saving it for something. Someone keeps asking me if I ever thought about doing shoutouts. I do shoutouts all the time. I invite people on the show that don't necessarily benefit me in any sort of way. So as far as shoutouts go, I think I'm doing pretty good for myself. Again, here's that object that completely untextured. Oh, but I didn't notice this about it. There's like a little terminal here. That's kind of cool. Someone just asked me if I can boundary break Kingdom Hearts 2, which has already happened. If you YouTube search boundary break Hearts 2, you'll find it. Okay. So anyways, now I'm going to run through the stage real quick so I can show you what's past the warp zone that Crash has to touch. Oh, that's right. We also have to bring him down. Back. Up. There he is. Oh, okay, yeah. Someone wanted to know what the bouncy crates look like up close. I didn't include this in the episode because it wasn't particularly interesting in comparison to the other stuff that I featured in it. But I'm going to show you right now because this is like one of those perfect opportunities for it. And I do apologize. There's a lot of manual control that I have to do here before I can reactivate and deactivate the camera. There's no hotkeys for that. So now, still pretty fast for normal. I thought that bouncy crate. I'm like feather tapping the buttons here. So yeah, as you can see, the Wampa fruits are fully modeled inside. It's not like the original game where I believe it was textures. Coco. Hey, yo, Coco. How's it going? Gonna do Uncharted 3. Yeah, it's already all set to go. I'm just kind of saving it for the next non-Nintendo game. I kind of held off on it for a little while because due to everything that happened with my parents, I took a little bit of a break from Boundary Break, which is kind of funny to say out loud. And it kind of hurt the relevancy of the channel a bit. So I was trying to kind of like make up for that. And I know that Uncharted's not one of the more popular games that you guys like to watch on the channel. So I set it aside for right now to cover the more popular stuff that you guys would want to see, to kind of help boost the channel a little bit after that, the damage that I kind of done to it. But yeah, Uncharted 3 should be happening pretty soon. A $5 donation from Eric Platt says your voice is magical. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. You know, you ask Reddit, some people disagree with you, but you know, I get that compliment every once in a while, and it's a very nice thing to hear because story time. When I worked at Toys R Us, you know, I don't know why I set up the story that way, but like, okay, this is where the warp is. I overheard someone talking about me in like the office. Like I was in the electronics department, and the office is right behind me, but the door was open to crack, and I had heard a girl that was in the office start talking about me, and she said, "Oh yeah, well, I'm gonna use my alias, not my actual name, but like they were like, yeah, I think that she says is really attractive. The only thing is that I hate his voice. I can't get past that." Which broke my heart at the lonely age of 16, I think. So, you know, for a while, I just kind of thought of that as like one of my drawbacks is my voice, because it's not very masculine. You know, it's kind of like it's more of an angsty kind of pitch, which I know that a lot of girls aren't into. You know, So I kind of grew to accept that and just kind of make up in other areas. All right, here we go. So this is where the warp is. Normally you have to touch this warp and then you're to the next area. But, oh, that's what I did wrong. Someone just asked how old I am. I'm in my 30s now, early 30s. Here's what it is past the warp that you normally can't get past. Eventually you come to a giant leafy texture. Guarantee you, once we get past this. Oh, another $5 donation from Evil Walrus. Dude, you're too generous. He says, I have another super important question. Is a hot dog a sandwich? This has been keeping me up for the last week. Put my mind at rest. Yeah, I know, there's that weird hot dog debate, huh? I feel like, you know, I don't think anyone's ever actually thought a hot dog is a sandwich until they've been posed the question. And then after having to, you know, think about it critically, that's when they're like, oh, well, I mean, it could technically be a sandwich because it's meat between two pieces of bread, but the bread's different, you know, the meat is different, the whole presentation of the hot dog is different from a sandwich. It's closer related to the subs in species than I would say sandwiches. But then again, you could always say that a sub is a sandwich too, which I think a lot of people do. I think that's actually more common to say. But no, man, I think the hot dog is its own thing. That's like saying like a pastry dish can be a sandwich if you just slap it between two parts of not sliced bread, but you know what I mean. Okay. Anyways, let's kill the anticipation here with this this texture. Oh, there's another texture. Okay. Okay, so I saw two donations real quick. One asked me, is Game Club podcast returning? I would love to. There's nothing more than I would love to do than to record more Game Club podcast episodes, but we all agreed between the three members of the podcast that it would be a very loose, laid back sub channel with no commitments from anybody. It's just, do you have the time? Let's do this. Because nobody likes to be locked down into doing something, especially if there isn't any money involved, and you want to either A, live your life, or B, make money off of your main channel. So that's kind of like the drawback of that sub channel, is that a lot of the guys have busy lives, and there's no commitment to do that show. So me, I'll make the time any day of the week. I will, so long as there isn't something really important going on, like having to go to the doctors or whatever. I'll do it. But the other two, you know, they got, one of them has a kid, the other is going through school and everything, and it just kind of ties up their time. Okay. Got that out of the way. Someone asked me if I've ever tried chili dogs. Yes, I have, and I love chili dogs. I think they're the best. Probably the best way to eat a hot dog. Someone else also donated. I kind of want to see who it was. Unfortunately, when you donate a small amount, it doesn't stick to the top of the screen, so I might have a hard time finding you. Okay, no, here we go. Phil, oh god. I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly. Borges said, a little donation to help a fellow survivor of retail. Dude, I hear you. Retail's the worst, and I would never want to go back. You think that that's just what life is until you get out of it. Down Square asks, what's the next open world game you're going to cover on Boundary Break? It's probably going to be San Andreas. I think that's going to be the next game I want to cover. So look forward to that. Oh, another another $5 donation from Octavio Contreras says, would you consider doing Boundary Break on a South Park game? I'm assuming you mean like one of the newer ones, and yeah, I guess so. No one's ever asked for it though. That's the big thing. So I never thought to do it because one, I don't really play those games. I love the show, but I tried playing the game and it just was kind of like, it just wasn't catching me, you know? And like the RPG elements, I didn't think they did it quite as well as other RPGs, and unfortunately, I can't disassociate a South Park game from a RPG that I played in the past. So I kind of didn't get into it, and nobody ever asked for it. So, I mean, like, if people kept asking for it, sure. Someone just said no GTA 5. There was a GTA 5 episode. If you, again, go into the YouTube search and type in Boundary Break Grand Theft Auto 5, you'll see the episode. Oh, what is this? Like a random wall here. Is this... Okay, it's a wall with backface culling, but you clearly don't need it because this room is already fully modeled on the inside. That's so strange. That's strange. Yeah, look at that. Look at that, viewer. Is it on top? It is. We gotta move Crash too, because that fog is just too much, man. This is like the bane of my existence. It's two things, culling and fog. If there's too much fog in a game, or if there's no way to disable fog, it's likely to ruin an episode, and in some cases it's actually stopped me from covering an episode because the fog just ruined the experience. Okay, here we go. Well, that didn't help that much, but it helped a little bit. Okay, so one person asked, have I ever tried to do a virtual reality game? No, I haven't. I don't have a good enough PC to run virtual reality games. Fortunately, I'm still a bit broke. Yeah. And you wouldn't think so either. I mean, like, with the episode that just came out, it's one of the best performing episodes I've had on a very long time. Hold on, I'll finish that story in a second. I just got a donation. I got 2 donations. Someone just said, just wondering, why didn't you show the main playing boards of Mario Party 8? I was hoping to see how the haunted stage looked. There was a lot of culling in the boards of Mario Party 8, so there wasn't a lot to see. That's why you didn't see any featured boards, unfortunately. I actually was considering making that the game to cover on stream today, but I don't know, I just thought that I had more Nintendo fans on Twitter, and that's why it won out. I figured you guys would want to see even more out of Crash Bandicoot, so we ended up going with that. Evil Walrus said, last donation, alright, I appreciate it, dude, says, love you, she says. Thanks for answering the silly questions, and thanks for all the videos that I look forward to weekly. You're a beast. Thanks, man. You're a beast yourself, considering the fact that you're a walrus and you're evil. Music Glide asks, does Crash have a separate model for when he spins? Yes, he does. You guys want to see that? You guys want to see spinning Crash? Let's do that real quick. Okay, so anyways, yeah. With the Crash Bandicoot episode, it's one of the best. I'm going to take these glasses off now because it's just darkening everything and I'm having a hard time seeing what's going on. Yeah, anyways, with this episode with Crash Bandicoot, it's been one of the best performing episodes in over a year, I think. Probably a year. And you would think like that would mean like, oh, I must be doing all right for the rest of the month. No, for whatever reason, and I have no idea why, and it's got to be one of the most frustrating things that has ever happened to me as a YouTuber. This video for Crash Bandicoot has made less money than the last 4 episodes that I put out, which performed view-wise far, far worse. So, can I explain that? I think so. It's all speculation because I tried to reach out to YouTube about it. I was like, This video has like twice as many views in a day than any of my past videos, but for some reason I made less money for the past few days. And they were like, oh, well, and they sent this generic answer. Like, I sent them all the links and everything to be like, can you look into this? And they just sent back like a generic answer of like, you know, the cost per 1,000 views can be different from video to video, and it depends on the time of the year and stuff like that. And I'm like, great. So this was like the first video in a while where we saw a drop in ad revenue, and it happened to be the one that is the most successful in the past year. So definitely hurting this month pretty bad. At least I hope that like this is just a weird fluke. It's not even demonetized, it's not, but I'm hoping that it's just this one video and it's not indicative of what the ad revenue is going to look like for the rest of the month, but it's rough. Okay, so anyways, let's see. So the way to do this, or there's a bunch of donations that just came in. Just gonna read those off real quick. I don't know if I can answer everything, but Radioactive Jupiter asks, or no, just says, new subscriber here, big fan, and nice glasses. Thank you, dude, appreciate it. $5 donation from Kyle Walsh asks, have you ever thought about doing a boundary break of Spider-Man 2 on PlayStation 2? No, not really. Nobody's ever asked for it, and I never played it growing up. I know it's a little bit of a popular one, but I'm actually more interested in covering the new Spider-Man game than the old one. So you might be able to look forward to that. $5 donation from Christian Harford asks, where is the Super Mario Odyssey episode? Yeah, that's, it's got a little bit of a story behind it. So, first of all, thank you to Triggy. Well, I'm not going to finish saying that name, but thank you, Triggy, for being a sponsor. The creator asks, any plans for Uncharted 3 and 4? Yes. 3 is going to be coming out really soon, and then 4 will be possible after which. So expect that. Anyways, okay. Whoa. $50 donation from 7FX Cindershade. Give me 1 second to slow the game down so that you guys can see the spin in slow motion. How about that? And then I'll read this $50 donation. Okay, there you go. So that's the separate model for Crash in the remake. It is all one separate model, which is really cool. Such a sensitive camera. One more. Here you go. Yeah, isn't that cool? You would think that with it modernized, they could just speed them up really fast instead of doing it like this, but they did not go for that, which is really cool. Okay, so anyways, the $50 donation says, hey man, long-time follower, and I love the content. Good to see you back at it and happy. Any chance you could find out what's behind the locked door in the programmer's ending of Chrono Cross? I can do that. I know for a fact that there is nothing behind there. I know that that's like such a major tease, and we all were hoping that there would be something back there. But I read up on it, and people have found out that there is nothing back there, unfortunately. But I will, if I ever cover a Chrono Cross episode, I'll make sure to show that so that you can see it for yourself. I bet you that's the leaf blower in the backyard. Not the backyard, but like one of the neighbors. There's my controller making that humming noise. That's most likely because of, yeah, the game in super slow motion. So let's yeah, thank you for the $50 donation, dude. That's insane. $10 donation. Oh, from the same guy. Thank you, dude. Wow. Very cool, and also a huge bummer. I know, I'm sorry. If it were up to me, I would have put something back there for sure. Even if it was just a reused asset or something. Just something. Someone said Boundary Break a Call of Duty game. I don't think my audience is really down for that. Let me know in the chat if you'd want to see a Call of Duty game, but I feel like I draw in a different type of audience than the folks that enjoy Call of Duty. Wrong, chat. Prove me wrong. $10 donation from Polygon, I think is what he was going for. Says, sorry for offensive name. Forgot to change for the sponsorship and in general. Oh, don't worry about it, dude. It doesn't bother me at all. I just think about the sensitivities of other people. I'm kind of like, I'm really a hardened person, despite the fact that I present the show in a very family-friendly sort of way. I consume the worst of stuff on the internet. Doesn't mean I enjoy it particularly, but it does mean that I'm very much tuned with what the internet has to offer, or rather, I've gone very far down the rabbit hole. So you're good. It's kind of cool. It's like a stretched out texture or something. You see this? $5 donation from VStrong12. He says, I just finished watching the Vinesauce Boundary Break live stream. You guys are amazing. Love the show. Thank you so much for watching the Vinesauce appearance that I had. That was a really cool time. The only thing that I regret is how many times I said my man to poor Vinny. I don't know why. I never say my man ever. I think it's like in a very rare situation when I consider someone a friend, I might say my man once. But in that stream, I said it like a total of 7 times. And when I rewatched that stream, I cringed so bad. I don't know why that happened. I don't know. Maybe it was like a nervous tick or something, even though I didn't feel that nervous. $2 donation from Down Square asks, what about a Fable game? That could happen. You know, just keep your eyes open. Nobody really asked for it though, and I never grew up playing that, so. What's a knock? Pig Dog donates 100 knocks. I'm sure that's like an abbreviation, but what country is that from? I'd love to know. Says, hey, I've been following your channel for a while now. I really enjoy it. Thanks for all the entertainment. Greetings from Norway. Okay, well, that answers my question. That's awesome, man. Thank you for the donation. I really appreciate it. Okay. So how about we hop out of this stage and do something different? Oh, let's check out the hub area. I think that'd be kind of cool. Mr. Mario Man says, "Hey, she says I love your stream. It's my first time here. Thank you, and I appreciate it, man. Thank you." Oh, someone say something about Boston. Someone says you live in Boston, right? Were you born there? I live in the South Coast myself. Yeah, dude. I'm from Boston. That's like a terrible, terrible impression. Yeah, funny thing about Bostonians, okay? $5 donation. I'll finish that story in a second. DNick235 says, I really hope that Freako can do a boundary break on The Last of Us Part 2. That'd be really cool. Yeah, he actually has been talking to me about that, and he's interested. So, oh, you mean the new game? Oh, I'm sure of it. I'm absolutely certain of it. So expect that at some point. Anyways, one thing that people who don't live in Boston may want to know is that people who have the Boston accent generally aren't your normal everyday Bostonians. A lot of people live in Boston but can't control the camera. Is there something I'm missing? I gotta activate the movie controls. They generally have normal accents like mine, unless, like with the exception of a couple things, like I'll say room instead of room. And the room comes from like a Boston accent where it's like, you know, it's like, hey buddy, let's go to the room, you know, and like, you know, talk about that kind of crap. But the full-blown Boston accent is really kind of reserved for scumbags, like drug addicts and stuff, from Boston, or, you know, just like the scummier kind of people from Boston. It's kind of like our bumpkin accent. So like people like to like portray it in movies and stuff where like it's all cops and all the cops in the movie are like, hey, let's go to the Harvard Yard and all that stuff. No, our Boston police force generally does not have that many people speaking with a Boston accent like that. It's usually the guy who like rides a Harley and is just like, hey brother, you know, let's go, let's, you know, it's like that kind of deal. So yeah, just keep that in mind if you decide to visit Boston. You're not going to see a whole lot of guys with Boston accents. And a lot of times, if they seem like they're on the up and up and they have a Boston accent, they usually trained themselves to have that accent. They did not grow up with that accent. That's just from my experience. Anyways, got a couple of donations here. Someone said, hello from me again. That's Octavio. Will you be doing Boundary Break on Spyro Reignited Trilogy? Yeah, I will be. And actually, funny story, Activision got back to me with my email about getting an interview with the people from Vicarious Visions. And they said that they're going to try their best to get me an interview with someone from Vicarious Visions. That'll be really cool if we can pull that off. But they also said that we're going to try, but in the meantime, is there any games that you're interested in covering on your channel? And I said, Spyro Trilogy. So you might see some like early gameplay videos of Spyro. Can't promise any boundary breaking. I don't want to ruin the relationship that I might be budding with for Activision. But you'll see some gameplay on this channel, hopefully soon. And, whoa. What the heck? Oh, it's all in one area. Okay, that's kind of cool. We're going to move on up here and show you this. And then when Spyro Trilogy comes out, expect an episode on it for sure. Spyro and Crash Bandicoot do really well on this channel, so with that in mind, I definitely like to appeal to the audience. This is neat. Okay, so $2 donation from Aiden McKinley. It says, random question, why is your YouTube URL Pancake and Waffle? So, hardcore fans of the channel know the answer to this question already, but I love to tell it. It's such a fun story. The channel started off with a boyfriend and girlfriend channel. Originally, I told my then girlfriend at the time, this is so neat. Told my then girlfriend at the time that I was going to be starting a YouTube channel, and she had said, or she says, that like, oh, that sounds so cool. Can I do it too? And at the time, I was thinking to myself, well, like, that's like something you don't see very often, at least at the time. A boyfriend and girlfriend channel. I thought that was like a unique dynamic that might offer something to the YouTube platform that we don't see. So I agreed, and we went with the name Pancake and Waffle. With her alias supposed to be Pancake, mine's supposed to be Waffle. We had like little avatars for the characters and everything. It was kind of cool, but yeah, it didn't work out. We ended up breaking up, and I had to rebrand the channel because I had 300 subscribers at the time that I thought was a huge deal, and I didn't want to lose that audience. And I don't regret it to this day, rebranding the channel, because one of those 300 subscribers was the one that ended up sharing the first Boundary Break video of mine on Reddit, which ended up blowing me up. So, like, you know, it really helped. But yeah, that's why it's Pancake and Waffle in the URL, because I can't change it. And started off as a relationship channel. Highlight says, fellow Bostonian here, and I will say I do not have the accent. Yeah, see, there you go. like I said, I hear it all the time, but it's only with like the scummiest people from Massachusetts. So, you know, take for that what you will. Maybe like a Bostonian will pop in and be like, nah, brother. But no, I never hear the Bostonian accent from like anybody. And I do visit Boston every once in a while. I think everything that we can see out of this. I'm gonna speed up the camera. Oh, it looks like that skybox is not moving. That's a shame, because I would have loved to have seen like what's outside of that skybox, that weird liney skybox. But I'm noticing now that like by moving the camera, it's not adjusting the size or the scope of those lines. So I'm not gonna be able to get outside of that boundary. Aaron Booth says, I love your stuff. Been a subscriber since below 5,000. Wow. And I would love a boundary break shirt that says Fogs and Culling, attorneys at law. You know what? That's a good idea. I've always had a hard time thinking up like another shirt idea for the merch. But that's a pretty good one. I might actually have to consider that. So long as you relinquish all rights to the idea to me, I'll roll with it. You can make it a live chat contract. Okay, anyways. Bounce back. Let's do Crash Bandicoot 3. I think that'll be fun. Will you do a boundary break on Ultra Sun or Moon? That's from Denny Law. Yeah, I think I will. I think Nekarun's working on a camera for it, but he spreads himself way too thin. He like adopts like 20 projects all at once, and so he'll kind of like sprinkle his talent into all these 20 different projects. And so, you know, when will the Pokemon Sun and Moon camera be completely done? It's anybody's guess. Because he's still got like so much more stuff. I'm pretty sure he actually adopted a couple of paid commissions from people too, and I don't think he ever finished those. So I'm assuming he has to get to those first. And the Pokemon Sun and Moon camera is not something I asked him to do. It's something that's completely on his own volition. So, you know, I'm gonna guess that that's probably like the last thing on his itinerary as far as making cameras go. So. But it is in the works, so when it is available, I would love to cover it, because I've seen a couple of preview images, and it looks really interesting. Oh, 10... Edward David donated and asked, hello there, did you ever think about doing a boundary break on Little Nightmares, and if not, why? I actually have considered doing an episode on Little Nightmares. There is no camera currently available. I'd have to recheck to see if that's still true, but when I had checked, there was no camera available, and it wasn't one of those games that was worth asking somebody for a camera, because there's so many games that are just like in higher demand that that really do require the talent of somebody to go in there and make it. And so that's why I haven't done a Little Nightmares episode just yet. I would love to have one available Halloween. I think that would be really cool. What the portals look like from... like, huh, there's like a brick wall in the foreground that you're not able to see because it has back face culling. See, like the image is fully 3D, but you never see what's directly in front of you. That's kind of cool. Someone asked, I've been wondering if this game does Crash have... Okay, hold on. Let me rephrase the question that you typed out. They wanted to know if the fur on Crash Bandicoot is the same as the spiders in Super Mario Galaxy, and it is. Go over to Coco, because not moving around as much. Sorry, like some of these controls are backwards. I don't know why Codename Gamma mapped it so that up would be down and down would be up, but oh, and the camera's also at super speed right now, I think. So let's fix that. Nightcore is is Bay, says in all caps, please read my post. I love your vids. I watch almost every one of your boundary break, sequence break videos. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's the tough part about my channel is a lot of my subscribers and general viewers are not willing to watch every episode that I put out. It's always, for most people, it's whatever game interests them the most. So for you to be watching every episode is thank you. I wish that everyone was like you, but I know that's an unreasonable expectation. Okay, here we go. Side of Coco. See that some of the characters, like Coco, they have giant eye orbs for their eyeballs. Crash is not one of those characters that has that. And it's really tough to get the angle, but yes, there's like at least 6 layers of fur. See? Ah, you can kind of see it. But as you can see here, it's a texture of fur multiplied by 6. And when you zoom it out, it gives it that furry look, which is really cool. Someone wanted me to take the camera inside of Crash. You'll see that Crash doesn't have eye orbs. His anatomy works a little bit different. They gave him, oh, donation from Shadow Hunter Sora. Hello, I've been a fan since 4,000 subscribers, and I have 2 questions. Thanks, dude. Is it possible to boundary break an MMORPG? Have you ever thought about breaking No More Heroes? I've never thought about breaking No More Heroes. I've never been interested in the game, and it's also not a very popular one. People have heard of it, but it doesn't have a strong fan base. But to answer your other question, which was what? Oh, MMORPG. Yes, I would love to cover World of Warcraft, and it is possible, so it will happen at some point. It's just a very large undertaking, obviously, because of the nature of what an MMORPG is. But I would love to cover it. A $5 donation from Joe K. Have you ever considered boundary breaking Star Fox Adventures and Star Fox Assault? By the way, I love your channel. Thank you for your great content. I would love to cover Star Fox Adventures, not so much Star Fox Assault. And that's because I wasn't a fan of Star Fox Assault. I think it's my least favorite one, which is ironic because that game has a pretty strong fan base, whereas Star Fox Adventures doesn't. But both of those episodes would be a for me episode because nobody even watches the Star Fox 64 episode that I put out. So what are the chances that people will watch an even less popular Star Fox game? I would say probably not very likely. But sometimes I just do an episode just because I get curious and it makes my brain feel better knowing that I can cover what I want. I just don't expect it to be very successful. Aurora Hester asks, Splatoon 2, that's possible. We could do that. And Splatoon was very popular. Just right now, there's a lot of GameCube games kind of like in the wing, waiting to have its time to shine, so. This has like the same weird line formation as the last skybox in Crash Bandicoot 2. But anyways, let's hop into an episode. How many people are here right now watching the stream? I'm going to guess not a lot this time, because the chat's actually kind of slow. I didn't really plan this out, but yeah, let me know how many people are here. Okay. $5, oh, 50 DKK. I don't know what that is, but 800? That's not too bad. Yeah, 800's not too bad. My favorite boundary breaker. I hope in your mind, the only boundary breaker. Yeah. Leonard Christensen says, any plans on doing Wolfenstein 2? I sent you a Twitter DM. Why not? I think it's probably possible. So, expect one at some point, just not immediately. Okay. $2 donation from Z Strawn 12 asks, has anyone ever suggested Chibi Robo? Not a lot. It has happened, but I know that Chibi Robo is a very unpopular franchise. So I would like to. It's not very likely. Not at least for a while. If I ever get to like 1 million subs and like a bad episode would be like 120,000 views, if that ever happened, I would cover like all like so many obscure games you have no idea. Because I'm not a greedy man by any means. I just need enough money to get by, to afford internet and rent and stuff so that I can keep supplying you videos. That's all I care about. I just need that level of sustainability. And right now, the video views, they do not support me that much. I'm doing okay. Again, this month has been really weird. I'm really worried about this month. Because, like, again, one of the best performing videos of all time on the channel brought in such a low amount of money that I'm really worried that, like, a normal video is gonna be like below sustainability. So that's kind of scary. I'm trying to think of what to do in regards to that. But like I said, if I had like over 1 million subscribers or something, I would definitely do that just for fun. Mustache Duct Tape says, howdy, she says, any chance of a Boston area meetup? And how about a Harvest Moon Boundary Break? I think I would like to do a Harvest Moon Boundary Break, but I think I would do Harvest Moon 64. I think that would be the one that I would really like to do. And as far as a Boston meetup, well, yeah, that'd be kind of cool. I don't know where I could meet up, though. I've always thought about actually doing a... one second. I've thought about doing live shows and seeing if people would actually pay to watch me boundary break live. And I know what kind of venue I could do to make that work. It would just cost like $2,000 to rent it out each time I do it. So I would have to know ahead of time if the interest was there and people would show up to kind of like cover the cost of the rental. By the way, this castle wall you cannot see by normal means, so there's no reason for these castle walls to be here, even though it adds to the immersion. I just always thought that was kind of interesting. I'm gonna change the speed of the camera real quick. New sponsor from Cindershade. Thank you, dude. I really appreciate that. Ooh, another donation from Nathan. Says, hi, she says, 2 questions. If ever possible, would you boundary break something like Undertale or Detroit Become Human? And, what made you come up with the name She Says? Okay. All right. So Detroit Become Human, yes. Undertale, yes, I do want to cover all the Earthbound games first. That's kind of like a big deal to me. Hold on, let me lock Crash in place. Again, if there was macro keys for this, this would just be a lot smoother. Fortunately, those weren't made in time. Change this environment lighting and stuff. There we go. Okay, so now it's less of a sunset, and like a lot of it's disabled. What was the other part of the question? Let me see. Oh, how did I come up with the name She Says? This is another classic. I kind of touched upon it already with why the channel name was originally Pancake and Waffle. But yeah, let me answer why it became She Says. So if you've been keeping up with the chat, you may have came in late. I'm just going to do a really quick summary. Pancake and Waffle was originally a boyfriend and girlfriend channel name. I broke up with the person that was Pancake and Waffle, and so then I had to come up with a new name. And being a YouTube viewer for a long time, I know what works and what doesn't work. What doesn't work are YouTube channel names that have like more than 3 or 4 syllables. The more syllables a user has to remember, the harder it is for that person to remember your name. So as much as I enjoy Alpha Omega Sin for his content, I can tell you for many years, I've seen plenty of his videos, but if I was to reference him in an everyday conversation, I'd forget what his name was. I'd be like, Alpha Beta something something, you know, and it just wouldn't work. So when I was coming up with my name, I was like, okay, it has to be 2 syllables. I think something that would be kind of clever is if the name popped up in everyday conversation. So I had to pick a name that would sound like everyday conversation. So then I came up with She Says. So like sometimes you might say like, hey, can you and Sandra come to the movies with us? And the person would be like, oh yeah, sure. And Sandra, like, you know, Sandra, aka She Says that she'll be there a little bit early. So if you want to meet up early, she says that she'll be there, right? And if you've been watching my stuff and you say that out loud, you might be like, oh, right, She Says. I wonder what that guy's doing these days. You know, it could pop up. And why She Says and not something else? It's actually a small nod to what the channel used to be. So I used to want to put out videos all the time, but because it was a boyfriend and girlfriend channel, it was difficult to put out videos at the rate that I wanted to, because she worked at a different pace. So if I wanted to put out my own video, she says that she's got to put out her own video first. Or if she puts out her own video and I put out my own video and I want to put out another one of my own videos, she says I can't do that because we have to do a video together first. So that's where the name She Says fully came from. I think I'm caught up with the chat. Oh no, there was a $5 donation from Bobo. It says, in Portal 2, what's behind the wall when Wheatley becomes in charge? I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I'm sorry. I'd have to go back into the game and check out that scene. Next stage. JPS Cloud says you should do more sequence break episodes. Says I love them, and I think that you would get some more views that way. Hope your family is doing well. So I don't know if you've kept up, man, but I don't have much of a family anymore. Both my parents passed away this year, but I do appreciate the sentiment. And as far as sequence break goes, yeah, I mean, I love sequence break. I think it's a really cool, fresh idea. But the tough part is trying to come up with a game in which that would be very effective and very entertaining. The 3 that I picked so far were really good choices, but you have to think about what game I could cover that's like in that similar vein, and would produce this like similarly entertaining results. So again, the criteria, the way to base that suggestion for the next sequence break game is to decide what game would it be like, okay, I have this object or I have this person with me that I could never be here without. What would happen if I didn't have that person or that object with me, when it clearly requires that when you reach this spot, you know? Like, we need more games like that. So if you can think of games where it falls into that line, let me know, because I would love to cover them as sequence break episodes. Paper Mario is one that is really good for that, but there was like some weird technical issues that didn't allow me to do it, unfortunately. Oh, Crash is still stuck. $5 donation from Crazy Froze says, I have 2 ideas for Boundary Break that I want to ask about. Tony Hawk or Lego games. Maybe someday. I was never interested in either one of those games. I do see Lego pretty often, so you might see one of those pretty soon. Just because fan demand is kind of high for that. Tony Hawk, however, not as much. This will be a good one. Okay. I saw another donation that was $2 donation from Swag Guy 47 asks what happened to that Halo 2 episode that you teased us. I just haven't really worked up the motivation to try to get the camera working. The problem with the Halo 2 camera was for whatever reason, and it doesn't happen to other people who do use the same tool set that I downloaded, but when I downloaded it, you turn on the game and Master Chief would just start spinning and looking up constantly when you activated the camera tool set. Doesn't really help me out very much, and I've tried to reach out to the original creator of the camera, got a hold of him, but then when I asked him how to fix it, the guy went ghost. So I have no help from him as far as fixing the camera. And it's really just going to take a lot of me asking around and trying to get answers to questions to finally cover that episode. But I've just haven't been motivated because there's so many games in the lineup that have higher demand and are possible and less of a headache. So that's basically why I haven't covered it just yet. Oh, someone just congratulated me on 400k subs. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Someone said try to unplug all your controllers. I did try to do that. It didn't work. Okay. Deep blackness. Let's try to get rid of that. That did it. Cool. Alright guys, we're doing a boundary break of the Finding Nemo video game on GameCube. Enjoy. We just saw Bruce a second ago. What is my favorite console? My favorite console is the original Nintendo. I love Nintendo! The original Nintendo Entertainment System. I love it because although the games typically lack a lot of depth that was later introduced in later console generations, like the Super Nintendo, for example, I do enjoy it quite a bit because there are so many more bite-sized, super entertaining games that will distract you for a good 30 minutes. And in total, I think there's a lot more content and value in the original NES than there is on any other console. Later systems provided like really in-depth games like Metroid Prime, for example, on the GameCube, for sure. But the volume of games that you can choose from on the GameCube is substantially less, I feel, than on the NES. On top of all of that, too, the games are so much cheaper, so it's a lot more fun to collect for, and it looks better on a shelf when you do collect. So, a lot of good reasons to enjoy the NES, I feel. Oh, someone said here. Someone was stroking my ego. Said, I'm a big fan. You're the first YouTuber I've watched grow, and I've watched almost all the videos. What videos you made are you most proud of? I love that question. The one I'm most proud of, that's the easiest one to answer, because some people say, what's your favorite episode? That one's a little tougher. But the one I'm most proud of, for sure, is the Pokemon Snap episode, because it was requested for a very, very long time. You know, and it was seemingly impossible for the longest amount of time. But then we finally got it, figured it out. And not only that, but it was also the first episode to have a celebrity guest. The Pokemon Snap episode featured Stuart Zagnut, the voice of Professor Oak, doing the intro in character for the episode. So not only did everything come together, but there was an elevation to the show's entertainment value, I guess. So I'm really, really proud of that one, because a lot of creative things. I am a creative guy, and I do wish that I could just cover games more as like a JonTron type show, where like there's like goofs and a script, you know, a lot of creativity involved. But unfortunately, my calling was information based. But doing the intros and stuff, that's a labor of creative love, a need for my creative outlet to come out in some way. And so to get a real voice actor from a childhood series of mine was a very big deal, and I'm very proud of that. Blue Electric Sloth asks, I'm sure your parents would be proud of you. They were. Thankfully, they got to see a lot of the evolution of me as a YouTuber before they both passed away, and they were very proud of me. It's cool because at first they didn't understand. My mom used to tell the story here, and I love her story. Was when I was doing the office job, things were going pretty well, and she was very proud of me for the office job. But one day I pop into the living room, according to her, and I tell both my parents, I was like, listen, yeah, things are going well with the office job, but don't be surprised if I quit one day to do YouTube, because things are going really, really well for YouTube. And my mom at the time was like, okay, yeah, and she was like nervous for me. Even when it was edging closer and closer to that day, she was like, oh, I don't think you should do that. I think you should try to do both at the same time. But if you've ever seen the video where I finally go full-time YouTube, I explain that the office job was becoming more and more stressful. There was a lot of people working against me. They very much resented my success at the office job, and so it was affecting my day-to-day life. Meanwhile, all of you guys on YouTube have been super supportive, like really appreciative every single time an episode came out. So it was like the contrast was my boss would come down on me for the most minute mistake, even if it wasn't really a mistake, he was just trying to break me, versus all of you guys in the comments section saying like, this is one of the best videos I've ever seen on YouTube. This is one of the most amazing ideas. Thank you so much for putting in all the work and all that stuff. And like that meant a lot to me. And it was quickly becoming more viable financially than my day job. And once it got to that point, I told my parents, I was like, this is it. I'm going to start doing YouTube full time. And, you know, girlfriend, my parents, My dad less. My mom more was like, oh, don't do that, please. You know, just keep doing both. But I was like, nope, I can't do it anymore. I have to pursue the YouTube thing, and I want to see how far it can go. You know, I don't want to ever like look back and think, what if? I can always think back and say like, yeah, I had that job at the subrogation company, but you know, at least I knew how far I was going to go with that. With YouTube, there was a window of opportunity, and if I hadn't taken it, it would have just eaten at me. And so I took it, and things started growing more and more. And it wasn't until I got the silver play button that my mom really understood what was going on. She was like, oh my God, he's getting accolades from YouTube and stuff. And she was really, really, really proud of that moment. And then I got an interview with Nintendo Force, the magazine. And the magazines came in, and she saw the article, and it blew her mind away. And before she retired, she actually brought the magazine into her office and showed all of her colleagues the article that they had written about me in Nintendo Force. So she was really, really proud of me. My dad has always been a creative guy, so like the idea of me pursuing a creative career, of course, makes him very, very proud. He was an aspiring musician, so to see someone that he raised become successful in an entertainment field meant the world to him. So, you know, it's not even a question of if they were proud or they would be proud. I guarantee you they were proud before they had to eventually. No, at least I have that. Oh my goodness. $100 donation from JPS Cloud. Says, well, I hope you are doing well. I hope that you are able to create amazing content like you always do for many years to come. May God richly bless you. I love everything you do and would be disappointed if you had to stop. Please do more Zelda episodes. I want to do, one episode I really want to do is A Link Between Worlds. I think that would be a lot of fun. Right now there's no camera for it though. I really, really want to cover that though, and I know that it would do well. Not amazingly well, but I think it would do really well. There is going to be a remake episode of Twilight Princess. So, you know, that would be cool. Expect that maybe this year, maybe next year, but it's bound to happen because it's one of the weaker episodes because it was so old. So I appreciate the large donation though. Thank you so much. Someone just asked if I had done Wind Waker yet. Yes, I've actually done it twice. So look for the remake episode. The remake episode will have Toon Link's face on the side of the icon to represent the evolution of the Zelda series, or rather, I'm sorry, the Boundary Break series. Let's try this. The original follows the thumbnail format of the of how the show used to be. So, like, you know, it's just like a picture of Ganon in a burning building. Not a very attractive thumbnail, honestly. What it was back then. $2 donation from Charlie Burns. Ever thought about going on the official podcast? What does that mean? I'm sorry, I don't quite understand the question. Going on the official podcast. I sort of interpreted that as making an official podcast. But, and I have thought about that. Problem is that a lot of people find podcasts boring. Though I love it. Kind of like diverting my attention here. I'm not a great multitasker either. Hmm. Oh, I don't think that the player movement works for these segments. No, it doesn't. Oh well, we're just gonna have to deal with that. What it looks like underneath the water, because it's not very clear. It's mostly opaque. Oh, look at this guy's face. Huh, I never noticed that before. I'm sure that's a detail that you can find on your own, but... Okay, so someone's let me know what the official podcast is. It's made by another YouTuber. I've never been asked, and that's the big thing. One second, there's another donation. I'll finish that answer. But do you keep your videos under a certain time limit? I really enjoyed the ones that are 20 minutes plus, but notice that you don't do them often. No, that's not what I do. It's normally a case of there's not enough content to make a 20 minute or 30-minute episode. It's not usually due to the weekly schedule, but in the case of Crash Bandicoot, it would have taken like 3 weeks to make all 3 games in one video. And unfortunately, when you do that, you're hurting yourself as far as how much money you take home by the end of the month, which you need to have to pay bills and stuff. It becomes not a joke at a certain point, but for the most part, no, it's usually just there's not enough content to show you guys. I'd love to make my videos like 30 minutes or 20 minutes. I find that they do better. They get recommended more when I do that. But fortunately, I'm just kind of giving you the cream of the crop, and I'm trying to avoid like repeating myself over and over again. Like saying like, oh, look at this thing turns invisible, or hey, look, also this thing turns invisible. Like it would get repetitive, and you probably would tune out. Oh, that's right. So anyways, as far as going on a podcast and stuff, it's mostly I have to be invited to be on a podcast to be on. So this podcast I have never even heard of. He probably has never even heard of me. So that's probably why. I'd love to be on the H3 podcast. I think that would be really cool, but I don't think Ethan would give me the time of day. I noticed that he normally kind of keeps it large YouTubers, king serving kings kind of deal. He wants to have a reason for people to tune into his podcast, and I think it's either got to be like a solid meme that or a celebrity, a Hollywood celebrity, or a really big YouTuber that will draw an audience on their name alone. Unfortunately, the Boundary Break guy is not that level of popular, so it's not likely to happen. But it would be cool. I think Ethan's a very, very cool guy. Oh, someone asked about Oddworld. I think that's possible, and I would like to cover it. But again, not a lot of requests for it. Go back down. Let's go underneath the stage, see if there's anything down. Always worth a shot, though. Someone asked about Rockstar Games. Like I mentioned earlier, there is a Grand Theft Auto 5 episode out already. I would like to cover Bully, not one of the more popular Rockstar games, though. So the next one that you'll likely see is San Andreas, just haven't gotten around to it yet. I think, you know what stinks? You know what's a real stinker? Is Grand Theft Auto 5 really, it was like the last, before Crash Bandicoot was like the last mega video that got like a lot of views and stuff. And it actually ended up on the YouTube trending page. But ended up on the YouTube trending page. But two things. One is that it's a very controversial game, so I think YouTube kind of suppressed it after a little while. And two, it came out around the same time as the ever amazing Summoning Salt. And he ended up with his big giant breakout video the same day as mine. And like that video, just, that's the one that kind of like captured the attention of all of gaming YouTube for the moment. It was the 4-2 video that he did of Super Mario. Love the guy. I actually had him on the show once, so I'm so happy for his success. But man, I was actually saying this on Twitter, where like every major success for the channel is met with something going wrong that kind of takes the wind out of the sails. So like in the case of Grand Theft Auto 5, it was not the Summoning Salt thing, but rather I think I accidentally forgot to credit a guy who made a map editor, I believe, and I used it in the video, and he got upset. And of course, it breaks my heart when people who make these mods and tools and everything don't get credited. So to see someone upset by that upsets me. And so I couldn't really be happy about the episode because I didn't credit the guy. With the Crash Bandicoot episode, there was just some weird ad revenue issue again, where like I'm making less money right now than in the past 2 months. So it makes no sense. It's like, I guess like if I was to compare it to, and let me get out of this stage. If I was to compare it to like an everyday job, because I know that it can be sometimes a little difficult to see things from the perspective of a YouTuber. For a lot of people, you might be like looking at someone like me and saying like, you know, like you should just be thankful that you're making any money, that kind of deal. And I agree with you there. But like, if I was to compare it to everyday life, it would be like if you were a car salesman and you're used to like selling like Hondas every day, and you get like you make your living off of selling Hondas, which is awesome, you know. At least you're getting through life. Okay, why am I keep getting pulled into the stage for some reason? I don't know why. So anyways, you're selling Hondas and it's doing you good. And then one day, some guy comes in and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna buy the Ferrari, and you're supposed to get a commission, like a percentage off of that sale, right? So you're expecting like big money from the Ferrari sale. And then you pick up your check and it's less money than when you were, you know, moving Hondas. I think any person that sees that would like have their heart break. They'd want answers. And the only difference between a YouTuber and a car salesman in that situation is that a car salesman could go to their boss and be like, what's going on here? Why am I making less money? Whereas a YouTuber doesn't have those answers. Like I'm just sitting here wondering why that happened. It's got to be like one of the most frustrating experiences. Anyways, I'm sorry. You don't want to hear me vent. $2 donation from Paper Fox saying, hey, looking good. Appreciate it, man. No one ever really compliments my looks, so. Someone's saying that the mic volume is dropping at the end of sentences. I think it's because of the voice modulator program that I have, unfortunately. So I'm sorry about that. It is really annoying. I don't know how to turn it off, but like what it is it's trying to like get rid of white noise in between sentences and stuff, and what that ends up doing is cutting out my voice a little bit when I trail off. It's so silly. Anyways. Oh, this is a DAC one. All right. Yeah, you can't see nothing. And it's also really, really fast for some reason. Ready? So it's like dark now. But big crash, move them up. You. Boom. Now we can see the entire stage. Okay. Now we can speed up the camera too. Someone asked me if I would do FNAF. I'd be down. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I think that would be one of those ones that people would not expect. I'm sure there's already people in the chat saying like, there's nothing to see because it's 2D. Well, I always say that nothing's impossible. Mark of the Wolves says, you've put Devil May Cry on a couple polls on Twitter. Is that a game you plan on doing this year, or does it depend solely on the Twitter polls? That's going to be one that depends a lot on the Twitter polls, because it's not a game that I particularly like. I don't like hack and slash games. I find them to be very hard to get through. They're not difficult. They're just like very boring to me. But if the demand was there, I would do it. And so when I put the game on polls, that's me trying to gauge the interest from my audience, and the audience seems to always rule out Devil May Cry when it's presented. So, I don't know. I'm gonna have to still wait and see. Lots of people are saying Uncharted 3, and I really appreciate that, because that's something that I've been putting on the back burner, but it's already done, essentially. I just have to edit it into a video. So, I'm loving all the suggestions for Uncharted 3. Thank you guys so much, because that makes me feel good about putting it out soon. Because, again, the Uncharted series on Boundary Break is kind of like steadily growing. Uncharted 1 did awful. That was one of the worst performing videos in a while. Uncharted 2 did okay. And I just imagine that Uncharted 3 is not going to do as good, because I feel like 2 is one of the more popular ones in the franchise. But since you guys are suggesting it over and over again, it's making me feel a little bit more comfortable about getting there and doing it. Someone just asked me what did I thought about re-uploading videos that didn't do well. I think that'd be a bad idea. I think that would alienate some viewers. When you subscribe to the channel, you expect new content, and to just simply re-upload a video, it kind of causes more controversy than it helps. But something you can do, like in my case, I could take the Metroid Prime video and simply set it from public to unlisted to public again, and it would show up on everybody's sub box. But I haven't done that. I'm just asked if this is no clip, and this is not no clip. Someone asked if I can do Gears of War series. I'd love to. It's one of the ones that I really want to do because I think people would watch it, and it's also one of my favorite game series on the Xbox. But right now, it's not viable. Very difficult to get a camera going for it. But oh, someone asked about Final Fantasy 15, and I'm down to do that. Final Fantasy 6 episode didn't do so well, but I think it's because the game isn't as popular as it ought to be. I think like hardcore gamers like me and Pro Jared and stuff like that, we recognize Final Fantasy 6 as like a classic, but I think like to the gaming public in general, it's not as popular really as it should be. Especially for a game that's attached to the name Final Fantasy. You'd think that any game with the name Final Fantasy in the name would be an instant sell to any person watching a YouTube video, but surprisingly, if it's not Final Fantasy 10 or 7, it's a lot harder to get people to watch Final Fantasy content because they're a little more fickle than you'd think. 2201 Ghost says, hi, how did you come up with the concept of boundary breaking? Keep up the good work, and your channel is awesome. Thank you, dude. It's so the way that I came up with this idea was camera too. I was trying to find a way to use pointer controls for Punch Out on the Wii, and the program that I was using to run it didn't seem to have options for the mouse, so I was going through all the options to try to find something to use IR pointers with the mouse, and one of the options was free look. So I picked that option out of desperation and started trying it out, and that's when I discovered free camera for the first time in my life, and I thought it was so cool. So what I did was I posted a raw clip of Punch Out from another angle on my channel, and I guess somebody from my 300 subscriber base shared it on Reddit, and someone pointed out to me that it did really well. It was at the top of our Nintendo, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, but I didn't really understand what that meant because I was not a Reddit user. And it wasn't until the next day that it showed up on Go Nintendo that I was like, whoa, oh my god, that's amazing. I've been trying to get my stuff on Go Nintendo for years, and like I've never gotten it featured on there. So when that happened, I was like, okay, I can definitely turn this into a series because I've been trying to do game series for a while on my channel. And I was like, so let me format this whole thing into a YouTube series. And that's how Boundary Break was born. Typo205 asks, any of the F-Zero games? Yeah, actually, there is a F-Zero game already on the channel. It's F-Zero GX. And nobody watched it. That's, again, one of the least viewed episodes on the channel. But it's there, so if you type in F-Zero Boundary Break, it'll pop up for you. You know what, guys? I think I'm ready to get going. I'll answer 2 or 3 more questions, and then I'm out of here. And I do appreciate all of you for showing up. What was the highest number of viewers that was on the stream today? How many people are here right now? Yeah, the numbers are dwindling, so I think that's an indication to bow out. Anyways, I saw a small donation. I feel like Final Fantasy IX would make an amazing episode. I agree with you. I love Final Fantasy IX. I think it may be now my favorite out of the series. It used to be 6, but I think now that I played both recently, 9's a little bit better story-wise, I feel. But yeah, I think let's see, reckon Medieval would be worth it. Maybe. Someone said that the camera's really hard to make for that, but I think I would like to cover it. Anyways, guys, I think I'm out of here. I hope you had a good time. I loved answering all of your questions. It's always great to hang out with you. I know that live streams are kind of a little bit of a no-no for channels like mine where we do highly edited content. But like, I love interacting with you guys because you're just the best. And I hope you had fun. I had fun. So I'll see you guys next week with what episode I'm going to cover for next week yet. I actually haven't been working on a new Boundary Break episode. I've been enjoying summer, but it might be Mario Odyssey. We'll see. Just stay tuned. Especially if you want, you can follow me on Twitter. That's a very good indication of what the next episode is going to be a little bit early. But anyways, guys, I'll leave you to it. Enjoy your summer and have fun. Take care.